On the morning of August 9, 2025, Russia launched what it believed was the most flawless infiltration of the entire war. A silent strike force slipped beneath the Black Sea, undetected. No missiles, no tanks, no bombers, just men trained to kill without ever being seen. Their mission: seize a Ukrainian coastal base before sunrise without firing a single shot. What the Kremlin didn't know was that Ukraine wasn't asleep. They were watching every movement, and in less than 40 minutes, the entire Russian plan would collapse, not because of brute force, but because of an invisible wall of sensors, AI drones, and silence. This is the story of how a flawless Russian operation turned into one of its most humiliating defeats, and how Ukraine turned stealth into bait. At exactly 5:40 a.m., the waters off Odessa shimmered like glass. Quiet, still, almost sacred, but below the surface, 12 Russian submarines crept forward in eerie synchronization, each of them over 400 feet long, displacing more than 7,000 tons and packed not with warheads, but with something more dangerous in close quarters: people. Instead of a full missile load, each submarine had made room for 50 elite Spetsnaz naval infantrymen. That meant 600 soldiers armed to the teeth, suppressed AKs, grenade launchers, night vision blades, and enough tactical gear to wage a war within a football stadium. Together, their combined combat training topped $20 million. Their landing point had been picked with surgical precision, just over 3 kilometers from a critical Ukrainian base. No visible fortifications, terrain that offered cover, supposed blind spots. Moscow believed it had found the perfect chink in the armor. The submarines cruised slowly through the thermocline, hidden from sonar. Inflatable boats launched. The first boots touched Ukrainian soil just 92 seconds after surfacing. They moved in 5-man teams, no lights, no sound. They believed they were ghosts, but they weren't alone. Unseen by Russian eyes, the Ukrainian base wasn't defended by concrete walls or high fences. It was protected by something far more advanced and far more dangerous. Surrounding the base was an $85 million American-supplied sensor network, a 1-kilometer ring laced with 240 seismic and motion detectors. Each one could detect a single human moving slower than a walk. Every signal fed into a centralized radar array, refreshing every 3 seconds, watched by 6 operators working in unbroken shifts. And that wasn't all. 14 guard posts manned round the clock created a web of overlapping vision. At night, thermal optics took over, able to spot body heat 200 meters away. Above them, small UAV drones no bigger than backpacks hovered in silence, feeding back high-res infrared imagery. So, when the first Russian squad breached the ring, the system didn't blink. A single blip, then another, then 20 more. In less than 5 seconds, the base knew everything: size, speed, formation, no alarms, no panic. The base commander answered a silent call and gave the order: "Hold positions, prepare the trap." The hunters had become the hunted. They just didn't know it yet. From the moment the Russians stepped into the detection ring, the countdown had started. The Ukrainian commander had exactly 4 minutes to convert data into destruction. 42 soldiers manned the outer ring. Each one carried a 7.62mm PKM machine gun or an M4 carbine. Quietly, they shifted into a curved V formation, designed to funnel the enemy into a kill zone with the base at its heart. No one moved in straight lines. Every step was calculated. 10 BTR-4E armored personnel carriers rolled out, each one weighing nearly 18 tons. Inside, 8 man assault teams armed with RPGs, RPKs, and orders to slam the back door shut. They swept wide, closing in from behind to cut off any path back to the sea. Above them, 5 PD-2 drones hovered at 1,500 feet. Their AI-assisted optics highlighted every Russian soldier in glowing red. Movement patterns were tracked in real time. Firing positions were predicted before the Russians even chose them. Then, 2 minutes before the ambush began, disaster nearly struck. One of the drones went dark, a systems failure, maybe jamming. It crashed into a nearby field. Worse, one of the flanking BTRs blew a hydraulic line in a hidden ditch, stalling in place. It was now blocking the entire fallback route. If the Russians noticed either error, the trap could collapse. The commander had seconds. He rerouted 2 BTRs through a farm track, ordered max speed, and shifted artillery tables to cover the exposed gap. The gamble worked. The Russians, unaware, kept walking into the teeth of the trap. At exactly 5:48 a.m., the order came through the radio. Phase 1, fire. Suddenly, 6 GSHG 7.62 rotary machine guns, each spinning out 6,000 rounds per minute, lit up the morning haze. In just 10 seconds, over 6,000 bullets ripped through the center of the Russian formation. Bodies hit the ground. Chaos exploded. The elite Spetsnaz, caught off guard, scattered into the open. And that was exactly what Ukraine had planned. From both flanks, machine gunners opened up in controlled bursts. Snipers with thermal scopes picked off targets from 600 meters. UAV drones tracked every move, feeding targeting data to mortar teams who adjusted aim within seconds. In the first 2 minutes alone, over 120 Russians were down, nearly 1/5 of the force gone. Those who tried to form defensive positions were shredded. Others dived into shallow ditches, only to be pinned down by relentless crossfire. Each time a muzzle flash gave away their position, it was marked from above and corrected on the ground. By 5:53 a.m., the surviving Russian soldiers were trapped. Ahead of them, the V-shaped kill zone. Behind them, BTR-4Es sealing the escape. The Ukrainian commander's voice returned. Phase 2, seal the perimeter. By 5:54 a.m., the elite Russian force was cornered and desperate. Encrypted radio calls crackled through the tree line. Spetsnaz team leaders signaled their last hope. The submarines waiting offshore, just 3.2 kilometers out, beneath the waves, the steel giants stirred. 6 of the 12 subs immediately changed depth to 45 meters. Their inertial navigation systems locked onto the Ukrainian base coordinates. The order was cold and direct. Launch all remaining cruise missiles. In rapid succession, 56 caliber PL missiles roared to life, each one a 3,300-pound warhead, moving at Mach 0.8. Russia's plan was now brute force, hammer the base into chaos, create a window for escape, and buy time for a breakout. But Ukraine was ready. 2 months before, American engineers had installed NASAMS 3, a $65 million air defense grid with multi-layer coverage. Its Sentinel radars could track 72 targets at once. The AMRAAM interceptors it guided were fast, brutal, and terrifyingly accurate. At 5:56 a.m., the first Russian missiles entered range. Ukraine didn't blink. 4 NASAMS launchers activated, 16 AMRAAMs launched in under 20 seconds, each traveling at Mach 4. One by one, the Calibers were shredded in the sky, their steel hulls turning to flaming debris before impact. By 5:58 a.m., all 56 Russian missiles had been destroyed. Not one touched the base. The Russian rescue attempt had failed spectacularly. 56 cruise missiles vaporized midair. The submarines had nothing left to offer, and the Spetsnaz soldiers still on land were now fully exposed. The Ukrainian commander didn't hesitate. Finish it. Coastal batteries locked on. 10 RPK 300 Polos anti-submarine missiles launched in sequence. Each one carried a guided torpedo, smart enough to track underwater signatures with 95% accuracy, deadly enough to rip a submarine apart. Within minutes, 5 enormous explosions rolled through the Black Sea. 5 Russian submarines, each worth $400 million, were gone. Twisted wreckage sank quietly to the seabed. The remaining 7 submarines had no choice but to dive deep and retreat fast. Back on land, the battlefield was quiet, but only for a moment. At 6:02 a.m., the BTR-4Es began closing the last 200 meters. Their 30mm ZTM-1 autocannons swept the trees where Russian survivors still tried to regroup. PD-2 drones dropped altitude to 600 feet, feeding GPS coordinates to mortar teams. Each shell, guided by PGK smart fuses, hit within 2 meters of its target. By 6:05 a.m., the Russian force was crumbling. UAVs confirmed over 180 dead, 250 wounded. Fewer than 170 remained, many down to their last 2 magazines. Still no rescue, still no retreat. Only one word repeated on the radio: surrounded. The Ukrainian commander made one final move. He didn't want to waste more bullets. Instead, he launched Operation Silent Net, a psychological offensive designed to break what little will the Spetsnaz had left. 4 mobile loudspeakers rolled to the edges of the battlefield. A clear message rang out in Russian: "Lay down your weapons, you are completely surrounded." At the same time, drones dropped miniature thermobaric charges just meters from the Russian positions. Not to kill, but to send a message. "We know exactly where you are. We can end this any second." It worked. Infrared drone feeds showed soldiers discarding helmets. Some huddled together, others raised improvised white flags made from torn uniforms. At 6:11 a.m., the first 23 Spetsnaz emerged from cover, hands on their heads. Then 50 more, then the rest. By 6:18 a.m., the operation was over. All 600 Russian soldiers, Moscow's finest naval special forces, were captured, disarmed, and escorted to holding zones. NATO-supplied biometric scanners processed each one in under 90 seconds. The battlefield was secure, and the final score was brutal. Ukraine had lost 0 territory. Only 4 soldiers were wounded. Russia lost 5 submarines, every inch of surprise, and its most elite soldiers without ever landing a clean shot. Russia called it a surgical strike. 12 submarines, 600 elite operators, millions in gear, billions in planning, all reduced to silence. In 38 minutes, 5 submarines now lie shattered at the bottom of the Black Sea. The rest fled. Every single soldier who stepped foot on Ukrainian soil was captured. Their weapons, trophies, their mission erased. And this wasn't luck. It was precision. The $85 million sensor network that spotted the first intrusion. The NASAMS 3 system that achieved a 100% missile interception rate. The seamless integration of drones, armored vehicles, AI-driven targeting, and calm human judgment. What Russia didn't account for was how modern warfare has changed. This battle proved it. In 2025, victory no longer belongs to the side with the most missiles. It belongs to the side with faster eyes, smarter networks, and the ability to strike before the enemy even realizes they've been seen. For Ukraine, August 9th became a symbol, a day where an invisible wall held back the deep. For Russia, it was a masterclass in humiliation. And for the rest of the world, it was a message in steel and blood. Stealth alone won't save you. Won't save you.